I'm gonna find your guy. And whatever else it is you're hiding.
What is up, Chocolatiers? I feel like everything kind of got tossed around and really confusing around the Thanksgiving break because I was away on a trip and I was like, okay, I watched Hamnet, Eternity, stuff like that, and so I ended up reviewing them. But I forgot how that weekend goes. So like that weekend I had no videos. And so it feels like I haven't recorded in forever. So this is feeling a little odd right now. But anyways, we're talking about The Last Frontier. Apple has prestige sauce as always. They don't really miss even the shows I don't finish, like, C with Jason Momoa, stuff like that. I really think they still usually hit. And so, I have never watched an Apple show that's been just kind of mid/okay. But here we are. So the premise of The Last Frontier is that we follow Frank Remnick, played by Jason Clarke, who's a lone U.S. Marshal whose entire world flips upside down when a prison transport plane crashes in the remote Alaskan wilderness. And not with petty criminals. No. We're talking full-blown serial killers, sociopaths, worst of the worst types. Basically like Arkham, right? And the crash frees dozens of these violent inmates, and Remnick slowly starts to realize, was this an accident? It's a pretty cool premise, absolutely. I think the trailers are really hyped up. And I love the idea of setting this in Alaska, the wilderness, the isolation, the danger, the weather, the day and night cycles. Let's already talk about that. That's a problem. So the first complaint out the gate is, it kind of made my eyes roll. I'm not really taking off points for this because whatever. I just think it's kind of goofy that you have this show take place in Alaska and we do nothing with the day-night cycle. Like, nothing. Like, you have days like where like the sun doesn't even rise, and like it's literally a day-night cycle. Like, every morning they wake up, it's like bright, and every day, and like this takes place over the course of like potentially months, I'm assuming. And so I just feel like, imagine how much tension you could build where it's like, oh shit, it's gonna be dark for a few days. That'd been cool, but whatever. But instead we get a normal 24-hour cycle. And I feel like this could have taken place in like Ohio or like Oregon or somewhere like that, right? But like I said, I'm not really on dock at a full point for that, but definitely a missed opportunity for sure. So let's get into the characters and performances, which I usually like to highlight on Apple shows. I do think Jason Clarke as an actor really works best whenever he's put into a very specific lane. And for the first few episodes, I wasn't really loving him. He's very one note, feels very flat and stiff, but there is a highlight. Because once the show starts peeling back those layers in the mid episodes about his daughter, his family, his trauma, he really does get better. His character gets better. You grow with him a lot. I'm not necessarily going to say I liked him more because what they kind of reveal, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't really like you. But he does have some development. Hayley Bennett as Sydney is kind of the MVP of this show. I think that she brings a lot of emotional grounding, some nuance, some tension every scene she's in because you don't really know if you can trust her or not. Dominic Cooper is Havelock. I didn't even know he was in this show. I love Dominic Cooper. And so when we first see him, he's got like a bag over his head, earmuffs, full-on shackles, chains. It's like a Bane moment, right? And he completely is like beating all these guards while like fully like he doesn't take the bag off. He has the muffs. It's insane. It's like a Marvel villain. And actually he does act like a Marvel villain because he survives a lot of crazy feats. This plane crashes. They all survive. He fights guards, like I said, while still chained up. There's even a scene later on where he completely just jumps from a cliff, like Uncharted style, and he lives. It's kind of crazy. There is a twist at the end of the first episode where you think this bearded guy's Havelock, but actually it's Dominic Cooper. And I actually did kind of fall for that, but that was because I didn't apparently watch any of the trailers except for the one where they showed the plane crash. And so I didn't know who was in the show except for Jason Clarke. So that twist worked on me. But I'm assuming you've probably watched the trailer so you know he's in this show. So it's not going to work on you. But it worked. I was like, Dominic Cooper! I was freaking out. I was like, oh, that's him! Thought I was weird. I was like, why is he playing a guard right now? I was like, that's crazy. And I was like, okay, you got me. I think the show works with Havelock's backstory, messy relationship between justice, power, and the government. I think that the Jason Clarke stuff with his daughter really works. I think the moments where I felt like, yes, this is the Apple TV I know was right there in those moments. There's also some standout episodes. I think that there's one with these two women criminals that was really, really good. They've also got their own little mini twist going on at the end of that episode. But unfortunately, everything outside those moments kind of feels like diet Netflix. That was a good one right there. I think problem one is the pacing. There are episodes that feel like they're 50 minutes long, but kind of contain like 5 minutes of actual content that I needed to really know to move on to the next episode. I think that a lot of nothing really happens except they chase a guy, they almost catch him, they don't, episode ends, rinse and repeat. Problem two, I think, is repetitive plot, because any episode that isn't really about the main conspiracy or emotional flashbacks feels like filler. Kind of stretched out to a 6-episode story or stretching a 6-episode story to like a 10-episode story that's really unneeded. Problem three is cartoon physics. Like I said, Havelock jumps off a cliff, survives, plane crash, doesn't blow up. Characters survive injuries that would have folded the Hulk, especially Havelock. I think he flips in a car twice. I said, no broken bones. Okay. So you definitely suspend your disbelief a lot, but I think that The Last Frontier is still not a bad show despite all these complaints. I just think that it's not Apple TV's usual standard. It does not feel very prestige. It does not feel very polished. It does not feel something from the same studio that gave us the studio, gave us Severance. It feels like a Netflix show kind of wearing an Apple skin, so it's a little bit elevated than usual. There's more good than bad for sure. I think the performances are great. The twists are actually really good. And I think the emotional core is solid in the long run. And I think that cliffhanger is pretty good. I really am excited for season 2. And so with that, I'm going to give this show a 7 out of 10. I think it is a very flawed show with genuinely strong moments weighed down by slow pacing, mid-tier episodes, missed opportunities. But I think it's still entertaining enough to recommend. So with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did Havelock scare you? And as always, like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one.
People up here are different.
Morning, Frank.
I took an oath to protect.